So now this session is about power of body, mind, wealth and relationships. I want to talk a bit about balance in all these respects, because there is power and there is force, and there is right brain people and left brain people. The left brain people are more cerebral, more academic, more conformist, traditional, and do everything properly. And the right brain people are intuitive. They know things without being able to necessarily explain how they know them, but they just know. Spirituality comes more naturally to the right brain people. You can imagine there would be a majority of right brain people over here. And right brain people can do leaps of logic that left brain people can't do. They need ABC 1, 2, 3. A right brain person can go from A to Z in one step, and the left brain person will say, "What? What is this?" So it's a different type of person. At the present time, we have in the world and in bodies and in minds and relationships and wealth, all of these things, we have an imbalance. And wherever you have an extreme kind of imbalance, it foretells collapse. Balance is what's actually needed when you have a lot of imbalance. So bringing things back into balance is something that is very much part of the spiritual process. The right brain people are a little bit more what I call patriarchal. And the left brain people. And the right brain people are a bit more what I call matriarchal. The world we live in is much more in the side of the left brain. So in terms of body, you like to have a nice looking body with good muscles. And if you are a sport person, right brain type, you may well get a lot of sports injuries as well as gold medals. This is left brain. And if you are, I'm getting it mixed up. You know the word in Latin for the left, what it is, sinister. Why do we use the word sinister for something a little bit that we don't really quite like? And right has to do with straight. And straight has to do with balance. Like if the picture is not straight on the wall, you will see, and it will make you want to make it straight, which is balanced. If you are balanced in the body, then you will probably not be considered something too special, because in the left brain world, everything tends to be preferred as extreme. Like you have to be very thin, tall, thin, tan, blonde, and 25 years old, which lasts only 1 year. This is the ideal woman, but body. But it may not be strong. It may not have a long lifespan. It looks nice, but maybe not is nice. So power of the body has to do with balance. You have enough sleep. The left brain people may be workaholics a bit more. This tendency to go to extreme. In mind, you will want to prove your excellence through certain qualifications. You do things according to the book, because the book is pretty much written by the other left brain people. And so that will classify you as a successful person. If you do this, 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 and this, then you will be okay. There's an assumption, and it sometimes works well and sometimes not well. But the one who is having a balance of the heart and brain, or the intellect and mind, feeling and understanding, this balance will not necessarily fit according to those criteria, because the one who is in balance, they feel, they know things intuitively, and they may very well be very successful, but not in exams. Because what does an exam prove? It proves that you can pass exams. But it doesn't necessarily prove, like, you can get all the qualifications, but you're not necessarily a good lawyer or a good doctor or a good any of these professions. Because there are some who are very, very good without those qualifications, better than the ones who have the qualifications. Take something like the alternative medicines. Someone who can tell what's good for you just by the fragrance. You can't get exams in that, because it's too subtle, you know. But if you know what's the right thing just by the fragrance, there's a very subtle, intuitive capacity which is not recognized because it's not tangible. So the world of imbalance is also very much the world of everything which is tangible, which is provable, which is scientific. But the problem with that is that it doesn't take into account other laws which are not the laws of physics. Like, there is such a thing as the laws of spirituality. If we look at wealth, for example, who can have a very large amount of money? If you do business in weapons, you get a lot of money. Lot of money. Drugs, legal or illegal, but you get a lot of money. And human trafficking. These are the big money spinners. So you get a lot of money for this, which is the bottom line. But if you look in triple bottom line, then something different is there. Because there's a hidden cost. For example, there's a human cost, there's an environmental cost. But you will pay. Because the laws of spirituality are ineluctable. You cannot escape. So in politics, you can have power and money and influence. But if you don't take into consideration the laws of spirituality, what you can achieve will be short-lived. It is not sustainable, not long-lived, and there will not be cooperation. So it breaks down. We are looking at the matters of spirituality because the way that we have decided to run the world, whether it's in terms of the social structure or the financial structure or how we manage the environment or how we interact with the Earth's bounty and all of this, it is especially designed to live now, pay later. And so now later has come, and so we pay. It has reached this point because of the imbalance that's inherent in the approach. People are emotionally, mentally, more and more unbalanced. Family relations, more and more dysfunctional, yeah? All of this is part of the paradox that we're looking at. The paradox that we believe that the systems and processes that are tried and tested for a long, long time are good, even though it's not looking that way. A majority of people will stick to something even though it's looking like it's not working out. And an unwillingness to look at it and say, all these tried and tested things, they have failed us. And so we have to look at it again. And we have to look at it in the way of bringing together the laws of spirituality together with the laws of physics or the laws of matter or the laws of how we have understood the ways of the world. If you want people to be healthy, then they have to be taught and learn how to take care of the self. Nutrition, exercise, how people think and feel, and all of the things to do with well-being. We have an idea that now people are working from home because of COVID. What happens when people are working from home? They don't have a home office, but they have to work from home on the kitchen table or whatever, with kids around and television blaring and all this. You can't do it. And how many hours do you work? More than if you would go to work, do your work, come home. The separation between home and work is blurred. And so it puts stress. And the employers do not provide internet, an office, etc., etc. But still, people go along with it because there's a COVID crisis, etc. But afterwards, it will stay there because it's economically viable, but it's not balanced. These things have to be rethought, refelt. You know, in ancient times, when it was like an agricultural economy, home and work was all together. But it was hard work, but yet there was a balance. But with this, it's going into an extreme. Whenever you get an extreme, as I mentioned earlier, it kind of collapses. bringing things back into balance is very important for ourselves. So we have to look at ourselves individually, personally. To what extent am I able to be in balance in circumstances that are not in balance? Because circumstances are quite much of a trial for us. It can be because of the body, it can be because of wealth, it can be because of the mind, it can be because of our relationships. And for many, many people, the imbalance is there in relationships. And why is there imbalance in relationships? Is, I think, partly because of what I call the patriarchal system, which makes many assumptions and does not negotiate relationships because of the assumptions. So that becomes a very important influence to create distress. And when you are experiencing distress, you're not able to function well. So one of the things to ask yourself is, where exactly am I experiencing distress? And that may well be more in relationships than in body, mind, and wealth. You may be quite fine in all those areas, but relationships may give you distress. What spirituality will say about bringing relationships into balance is, wherever you experience yourself attracted somewhere, or to some person, or to some gathering, there are some karmic debts. So attraction ordinarily does not assume debt. You think, I'm attracted to this person, I'm attracted to this gathering, I'm attracted to this place, and that means it must be right. And then you go there and you get engaged, and then you find it's not all that right because of different things. And this is all to do with what we call karma accounts. And for that you need special powers. And these are special powers of the spirit, special powers of the mind. Where you are attracted, the debt is from some other time. And where you are yourself out of balance, this will intensify the debt. So how does a karmic debt work? Is that you engage in an interaction, you get tied together through attachment, or through attraction, or through you do something which ties you together financially or whatever. And then the person, the way that they act with you gives you distress. And so then you will react to that distress according to your moral principles. And when you do this according to your moral principles, it intensifies the problem. And it makes it worse and worse and worse, which means that we need to rethink our moral principles in our relationships. When we experience distress in relationships, we will say, the way I understand things is obviously the way things should be understood. And the other one understands them differently, which means it must be wrong. There is a question of what's right and what's wrong. And your mind gets engaged in what's right and what's wrong. So if you perceive that something is wrong or someone is wrong, you put pressure on them. And they won't like that. So they will react. And you can see how this intensifies the knot of distress. And this happens a great deal. What is needed? On one level, you need to have a lot of internal power to allow the person to be what they are. Whether it's right or wrong is secondary. If you ever tried to change a person, have you tried that? Has you ever had any success with it? No. So what that tells us is attempting to change a person is a waste of time and energy. But yet, according to our moral principles, there is a deep belief that the most important thing of all is to change somebody and make them something that they're not. Because then you will live happily ever after, which doesn't work. So the first thing to remind ourselves is a person is the way they are, good, bad, or indifferent. That's the way they are. What very often happens in the patriarchal system is the dominant one remains the way they are, and the non-dominant one adjusts to them. And this is called unhealthy relationship. And then you become more and more unhappy. And so this is not a good solution. So the dominant one is the way they are, and they are very confident that they are right. This is called ego. If you say this is ego to the person, they will not like it. And so it's not useful to say that. Whether it's true or not doesn't really make a difference. You have these setups for distress in relationships. How should we work with it? One thing that spirituality says is there's no such thing as males and females. There's male and female bodies, no doubt, but a being is a being. And relationship is between a being and another being, in which each being is unique. I think as a right brain type of person is to perceive the other being as what they are. We know that each person is 50% good and 50% not good. Pretty much like that. And each one is differently 50% good and 50% not good from the other one. The process of harmonizing people in relationship is a huge piece of work, because there is an existence of karmic debt, which means you're not coming together as a blank piece of paper. You're coming together as heavily indebted, but without any clue what the debt is, or how it got there, or how to make it go away. But wherever there is the experience of distress in a relationship, we need to apply spiritual power, because the usefulness of applying spiritual power is that whatever is the thing that the person does that you find distressing, you can handle it through your power. Someone may put pressure on you, you can handle pressure without breaking under it. Someone may reject you. We handle rejection, doesn't matter. You don't love me, you have a problem because I'm so lovable, I don't know. Okay, it's up to you, your problem. But you have to be so in your awareness of your value. One thing which is a mistake is to think that someone belongs to you. We say, this is my wife, my husband, my brother, my sister, my mother, my father, my. And whenever we use this word my, it makes us think that we have rights over the person, and that means that we will make them the way we want them to be, because they're mine. Like, it's my dog, I train him this way. You know, can't do that with people. Well, people try, but that's not the way. You need to be like completely your own self, so that the things that you assume will happen in the relationship, or what the other person will be or do, or remember your birthday or forget your birthday or whatever, it's like it really doesn't matter. Why does it matter? Oh, you forgot my birthday. So? And? I can give you a present on Mother's Day. It doesn't have to be like that. It's just a cultural thing. You have to remember my birthday. Why? Who says? No. It doesn't prove or disprove. It's just a tacit agreement that people made without thinking that silly agreement. You know, or you have to tell me where you're going. Excuse me, why? I see you later. Okay. Neither be slaves nor enslave. Because it's this idea of ownership that creates difficulty. When you think that such and such a person will make me happy, or even some person will say to you, oh, I promise to make you happy, you should immediately say, quit that stupid remark. Your duty is not to make me happy. I make myself happy, thank you very much. Better, actually. But it's a belief, an erroneous belief, that somebody is responsible for making somebody happy because somebody made that up in some love song or something, you know. Oh, I will bring you the moon. Excuse me, you cannot do that. Or you have to bring me the moon. No. Why? Coming together means it's not that you become a couple or a group or whatever. No. Each one must remain integral and individual, and come together and come apart in many ways to find the harmony. But as long as there's any dependency or assumption that this person has to do this or that or the other without agreeing in a negotiated contract, then there's trouble, I see. And so for that you have to know, what do you need? Is it reasonable to say that X person has to fulfill my needs because I have these needs? That's not right. We have to assess our needs, because getting our own needs met by ourselves or by negotiating them is very important. When there is an emotional dependence, then it creates a dysfunctional relationship. There is no clarity between a need and a desire. When a person is not in their power, they will try to get the other person to fill the gap, and this becomes pressure on the other person. When you are in your power, if the person does it, good. If they don't do it, good. They call you good, they don't call you good. Because what happens is then there's freedom. And I think everybody likes freedom. Do you like freedom? But then if you like freedom, then you can imagine the other one likes freedom as well. So then what is love? Exactly what is love? Love is to share your being without expectation of the return. Because people talk about unconditional love, which is a very stupid idea. As you know, I always say that, right? Because everything is a negotiation. So that if you love without expectation, it will come back, but not on your timeline. It will come back when it comes back. When we put conditions and we get angry because our expectations are not met, and then we make the other ones wrong, then it increases the distress and it increases our karmic debt, and it makes us spiritually weak. And it doesn't really do anything else. What we want is to be in our power, which means that our source of energy cannot be another human being. But we very often see a nice juicy human being and we think, I can eat this one. But who wants to be somebody else's mango, you know? No. So, you know, these are the energy vampires. You know what I mean by that? So very often when there's an attraction between people and there's a karmic account, there's also this energy consumption. When a soul is depleted, which is everyone, and you try to fill through another human spirit, then this is called being an energy vampire. Sucking their blood or taking their energy, same thing, you know. We must fill ourselves from a source which is not empty. Because when we try to fill ourselves or get our needs and desires fulfilled through relationships, we will eventually arrive at a state of total disillusionment, which is actually very good, but not very pleasant. Sometimes people need to get as far as disillusionment before the penny drops and we say, oh yeah, I was living under an illusion. Let me get real here. But getting real means really, really deeply challenging the conventional wisdom that so-and-so will make you happy. This is conventional stupidity, because it is a setup for misery. How do I become happy? I become happy when I really, really know how to take care of myself. And sometimes it means setting limits and boundaries. If there is someone or some group of people who wants to use you, you like to help when you want to, you like to cooperate when you want to. Freedom means I will do what I want, when I want, if I want, for how long I want. It's not the same as selfishness. To be really free and really know, because your conscience, when you activate your conscience in a really good way, your conscience will work together with this freedom of I will do what I want, when I want, if I want, and not if I don't want. And it will work so well that there will be harmony in relationships, because you are free and you are not allowing someone to take you out from what's right. So your conscience does several things, more than people realize. It's a part of the consciousness where you know how much time to give and when to not, how much to be present and when to look after yourself. It's like a very, very subtle mechanism which guides you from the inside in your relationships with your body, with your mind, with your wealth, with your relationships. And when a person is free from the conventional wisdom, which says you are such and such, therefore such and such, which is actually a wrong kind of syllogism, but really feel from the inside. When we get to Mesustaki Shakti, this is all about that. We make assumptions that other people will understand what we need and they won't use us if we don't want to be used. But that doesn't work, that's an assumption. So we have to be able to activate the conscience so that it says, okay, yeah, I will do this, and this is me, this is what I will do, this is what I won't do. But why don't we do that? Sometimes because we want to be loved, and we think if we go against our best interests, we will get more love, which we will not. And sometimes we want approval, so we will do certain things to get approval, which we will not get. Because it's a game. We have to understand the game. When I, the soul, fill the self, myself, with my own spiritual capacity, it doesn't matter to me if someone's good, bad, or indifferent. Then I'm better off. You can love a person really well when you see their essence, which is why you like them in the first place. And whatever their weaknesses are, you remain in your integrity, and what will happen is they will feel, ooh, I made a mistake, but you didn't say anything. Or you said something but not in a way that creates distress. So the key is I must fill myself and be an independent, standing on my own feet person. And then come into interaction and come away from interaction, coming and coming away, coming and coming away, so that you remain free and you give the other ones their freedom. The difficulty is when we think someone should be such and such and they aren't. So what created that is the conventional system, which says people are half a person. You are half a person, you're looking for your other half. There's the old stuff, you know this already. When you're a complete person and you come into connection with a gathering or into connection with an individual or into connection with a family, whatever it is, you have to understand the extent to which you are depleted, because everyone is depleted to some extent. Check the self to see that you are not using someone to fill yourself in the assumption that that's what that person is for, or that's what that group of people is for, you see. And also not give away your power in exchange for a little bit of money, a little bit of influence, a little bit of position. Many people need to have these external indicators to let them know that they're okay. If I have this much money, then I'm okay. Maybe, maybe not. How much money do I need? And how much money do I want? Do I want money to compensate for some lack in me? Or do I want money so that I can do something that I want to do? That's different. If I have more money than I need, that happens, right? You know, too much money. You know, so what will I do with it? Share where I want to share. Because what you want, when you're really connected with yourself and you're balanced and you have faith in yourself, you can do something regardless of what happens. You give something, they may or may not appreciate it, doesn't matter. Because you're not doing it for appreciation. You're doing it because it's a good idea. Your conscience says, this is a good idea, I will do this. That's good enough. This becomes then your reason for doing what you do. And in spiritual practice, we think a lot about my karma. What is my karma? What do I think? What do I say? What do I do? And why do I do it? The reason why you do what you do is very, very important, because it lets you know who you are. So if you do something because it makes sense, that's good. If you do something in order to get something because you're depleted, that may be suspect. So, for example, you want love. Everybody likes to be loved, right? You want to feel fulfilled in your heart. To do that, to feel that, you have to put out pure energy, pure action, pure thought. If you have a thought that's negative about another person because they disturbed you, you come in karmic bondage with that person. Do you want that? Not really. If a person distresses you and you handle it by managing the feeling, it's more pure karma. And you are able to manage the feeling because the feeling comes up and you have to be able to handle that feeling. Whether it's a feeling of disillusionment or distress or disappointment or anger or whatever it happens to be, but if you can handle it, then you have neutralized a karmic debt. This is good to know, because these kinds of negative feelings occur where there is a karmic debt coming up to be paid. So you pay karmic debts through some or another kind of pain. Emotional pain, social pain, financial pain, physical pain, some or another kind of pain. And if you can manage that pain, then it's dissipated. If you can't manage that pain, it's doubled. Do you want that? Not really. In relationship, whether it's professional relationship or personal relationship, whatever it is, there's always going to be some or another thing that happens which is not right, according to you. This is not right. And it may be really not right, but can you handle it? Such that you're not doubling the debt. Because doubling the debt means doubling the pain, doubling the distress, doubling the hardship that you will create for yourself. So this is something many people don't really know. This is called power, if you can handle those things. And so it's something that arises through meditation, because meditation means take power, many different kinds of power, take power from a source which is not depleted. Take power from a depleted source, you have to give it back. Take power from a non-depleted source, you don't have to give it back. Right? That's better, right? Have some time having a look at your relationships and where you're depleted. Work with your feelings such that you learn that it arises, it distresses you a great deal, but you just widen yourself to hold it. You don't react against it. You hold it, and it by itself dissipates. And then you will have not been prompted by a distressing feeling to react, because this reaction puts you in more karmic debt, whether it's thinking or speaking or doing. Any kind of reaction you will pay. But our conventional wisdom says, I have to react. That's conventional lack of understanding. Proactive is good. Reactive puts us in debt. And we react proportionately to our lack of personal power. But very often we don't really get the point that the first and foremost priority is myself. I am my highest priority. So I have to look after me. And if I am in good order, then I will be able to share something, whether it's energy or money or time or whatever. It's because I've excess, you see. So to fill oneself in meditation, to be able to have excess, is to be rich, very rich. And you like to be very rich. It's much better. They say, I've been rich, I've been poor, rich is better. We know that. How do you get rich? You get rich through your generosity of spirit. And your generosity of spirit is possible when your spirit is full. But we think that it should be a different way, because that's how the world presents it. So that means we're going differently from the world, but nevertheless, ultimately, much better, because you get wealthy and you stay wealthy in terms of your being. And you're not much concerned about whether someone is good, bad, or indifferent, within reason. You don't allow yourself to be used and abused. And if you find yourself all on your own, it's okay. If you are full, you won't be alone very long, because you'll be like a fragrant rose. Some people will come to take the fragrance, But this non-dependent thing is really very good. And that means taking a risk to be rejected. This is very important, to risk to be rejected. Can you do that? If you take the risk to be rejected, you're unlikely to be rejected. You don't take the risk to be rejected, more likely to be rejected. It's a paradox, phenomenon.